Budgie was a little helicopter. Hey YouTubers, my name is X Factor. Thanks to Tommy Rage and Bong, you have two angry gamers and all their glorious final UCAV edits. That song is forever stuck in my head. It was playing in the back of my head this entire round on Everglades. Conquest size large for Battlefield Hardline. Believe it or not, this is one of the first times I've actually jumped in a budgie in Hardline. Simply haven't had time. Too busy grinding those camera coins. That was an absolute nightmare. I know Visceral plans on taking a whack at changing those because right now they only spot one person within 70 meters in a small cone. And then if anybody spots that person that's spotted by the camera, whether it's you, the hacker/commander, another teammate, or even maybe another camera, it wipes out that spot and you don't get credit if somebody else shoots that person because it's all about getting those intel assist points and getting 10 of them to get a coin. I can't tell you how many times I suicided just to get epic camera placement to get shot in the face the second before the camera went on the wall or the animation went through, and then all of a sudden I notice it's not on the wall or on top of a berm. So this is actually a pretty good map if you're playing TDM to do those cameras if you're working on that grind. So I really haven't had a lot of time to play with vehicles in Battlefield Hardline. One of the things that irks me about Battlefield Hardline is the vehicle sensitivity slider. Transport choppers, the side guns are super sensitive. I think I play with about an 8% vehicle sensitivity when I jump in a transport chopper as a gunner. But then the problem is, if you get in the Bearcat, then you can't move the turret. Remember, I play at 1800 DPI, so my sensitivity on these numbers might be drastically different than yours because the game not only just goes off that sensitivity slider, but also what DPI your mouse is running at the moment. So then all of a sudden I have to jack the Bearcat to around 20 to 25% for it to feel somewhat responsive. And then you go to fly a helicopter, and then back to a higher sensitivity we go. That might be the struggle that this game presents. I'm not sure how they're going to fix that, if they want to attempt to change the transport chopper sensitivity to make it actually make sense. So that's kind of one of the quirks of the game that just drives me nuts and why I've kind of steered and stayed away from the vehicles so far. So we're playing some Conquest, and the name of the game is get 3 of the 5 flags on this map. When you do that, you're rocking the ticket bleed on the enemy. No matter what that enemy does, no matter how many bad guys they kill, how many good guys they revive, they are losing tickets. He who has the most tickets when time runs out or runs the other team out of tickets wins. So it's very important to keep that grind going because I've said this a million times. You cannot outkill the ticket bleed, the burn. It's just simply not going to happen. You're going to have the 5 best MLG pros in your team just dropping bombs. But if you don't have a majority of the flags, it's pointless. You are losing tickets that quick. So I do everything in my power with Mesocyclone, another Wookiee in my gunner, to position us and to kind of babysit these flags. Something I do in Battlefield Hardline and Battlefield 4. Whenever I see a flag in danger, I either spawn on it or I try to get to it, cut off a push, and there you see some pretty epic flying right there as I'm kind of learning the ropes and figuring that my sensitivity isn't quite right for this, and I don't exactly have the time to change it because I'm trying to dodge locks and small arm fires. And that's another thing that happens in Battlefield Hardline is the budgie can be damaged by small arms. If there's enough people ripping at it, it will disable it very quickly. And that's something that kind of irks me about the game as well, the learning curve of the game. There could be a budgie just ripping up infantry, pack of 5-6 guys, just turn and burn the thing. M16s, K10s, if you got an M240B or MG36, if you got 4 or 5 people that it gets close to, it will absolutely rip them up. And I blocked the first one. The second one, not so lucky, and this is actually from when I was trying to grind those camera coins. So there you see either the Scout or the AWM. I didn't even really notice, and Mesocyclone's going to give me some repairs here as we're going to skate away. So there's actually not a lot of cover on this map to break locks, but there's just enough if you get low, and that's the key to probably not staying too high in this map because you expose yourself to all that small arms fire. Then, of course, all the AA that's going to be sitting in trunks and littered across the map. The other thing is prioritization of where the battle pickups are. So you can see the battle pickups when they are not picked up. You don't see a friendly around, all of a sudden a AA launcher or an RPG goes missing. Guess what? you might have a problem. You don't want to be a free kill. You might want to get evasive until you either see that smoke trail, you hear it pop off, or you see the guy in the mini-map. So it's really important not just to prioritize the vehicles on the map. So my main prioritization should be the other budgie, the transport chopper, the Bearcat, and any other vehicle that's trying to flank, because the easiest flags to get on this map, whoops, there's a boop, or just bad piloting by me yet again, is your gimme, and then of course A. So what's the third one? Anything and everything but the middle. Almost every Battlefield map has a flag which just takes an insane amount of infantry and armor to take. Absolute waste. On this map, it's B. And most oftentimes, it's predictable troop movements. They're going to run straight from D to B. We're going to run straight from our gimme, which is behind me, right to B. There's going to be very little flanking or fanning out. And then you got to get people on the flag. You can do all the killing in the world around that B point, which I've seen done a million times on this map, but very little of it actually exchanging teams. So what's my recommendation? Ignore this flag. Unless you've already got 3 flags or you've got a massive lead and you think you could take it. Because more than likely, your team is simply going to get farmed. You're going to lose spawn points. You're just going to be burning tickets trying to get it. Go take a Bat Cap, one of their gimme flags, with 3 or 4 guys. You'd be amazed at how many flags you lose in the Battlefield series to just one guy that snuck through and no one really responded because they didn't have time or they just didn't want to spawn in that spot because they figured somebody else would do it. Mezzo's trying to repair me again. It is hot and heavy and it's not done yet. The transport choppy is a burn-in and I've got another problem. Something that small arms fire will not damage, and that's that Bearcat. The good news is this. It was already pretty torn up, and I really need repairs, and I got too far away from Mesocyclone, and it's still popping off. I can't rest, poor Budgie. And back in the air we go. So this is actually a pretty fun round for me. I'm going to try to mix in more vehicle gameplay in Battlefield Hardline now that I've gotten the knockout, the Beagle, and a couple other things going that aren't major time sinks as I pop my basically defense there and trying to get back to the spawn area so Mesocyclone can jump back in. For those of you wondering about my return to Battlefield 4, it is coming. Starting next week when I get back from vacation, this is X Factor, the 2 babies are going to a massive indoor water park for a couple days to relax and drink the adult Kool-Aid and have some fun now that the babies are a little bit older. I will be returning to Battlefield 4. Tanker Tuesday will be back next week. And then we're going to start getting a nice little 50-50 mix of Hardline and Battlefield 4. I really had fun with Battlefield Hardline so far, but there are quite a few bugs and things that the developers have addressed, not just balance issues, like the flinching. If you got a teammate in your ear and he's shooting in your ear, all of a sudden your character is shaking uncontrollably. And if you're actually being hit or the enemy fires near you, you're shaking uncontrollably. I'm pretty sure the developers have said that they have a fix for this. I can't wait for that because that is one of the most nastiest things and most annoying things in this game as we catch somebody trying to flank. That coupe more than likely would have been enough to take this if somebody would have spawned in, or we simply would not have been there. Another thing that has really been bugging me is the netcode issues in this game. Obviously, we're on an older version of the Battlefield 4 netcode, and there isn't any of that CTE goodness that's been worked on by the DICE LA, the DICE dev team out there. Then, of course, the Hardline team's been part of some of the newer stuff that's been coming to light and some of the older fixes that are in CT. I really want to see how that plays out because, in my opinion, the super fast TDK of certain weapons and certain distances simply doesn't work. You just don't have time to respond. The skill gap has shrank. It is extremely tiny. So a lot of times when you could spawn in on a flag, when you're trying to save that flag, you might be able to take out 3 or 4 or 5 guys or 2 people spawn in. They might be able to do some work. But now, because these lightning-fast TDKs and some of these netcode potential delays on it being updated, you just get killed in the blink of an eye. You can't even move. You know where the damage is coming from, and you're dead before you can even react. So it'll be interesting to see how the developers balance that out. I know they've already been talking about a potential K10 nerf to 33 damage. Rumor is there might be a little bit more spread coming to it to close range, and some other changes. But again, it's all got to kind of change for this all to work out. And that's just my opinion. You guys might be in love with the super fast TDK, but remember, I said this early and often about Battlefield Hardline on the Frostbite engine. I just don't know if it can handle this sort of quick TDK because, again, our updates are really, really bad and really, really low on Frostbite. And that's something they've been slowly improving upon, but there are some pretty harsh limitations. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this Budgie the Helicopter gameplay. You've kind of garnered and grasped some of my thoughts that I've had while racking in 40+ hours of Battlefield Hardline, playing all the classes. I've actually played more bolt action than any other class in Hardline, with Medic being second, and then, of course, Engineer being third. What do you guys think of the current state of Battlefield Hardline? Are you in love with the TDK? Do you think it needs to be overhauled, assuming we're getting these netcode changes that have been made in Battlefield 4 CTE? What kind of balance issues are there? The RPG in the trunk, are you in love with it? Do you hate it? The devs have been very open to our feedback. Let's give them some more and then see what changes take place.